when I'm making canoes and people come around, why usually the process I get into is that I talk or work for 15 or 20 minutes and talk for 2-3 hours. And so there you can see where the fun is.
This is the wedge, and this here is a scraper. Now, the antler that you use has to be freshly dropped from the elk, otherwise the center of the material here will just rot away. And it's honeycomb, as you can see, but it does make a good filling, and it takes a lot of pressure splitting a redwood log, especially such as this one here that we'll be working with. And then this here, the scraper, is one that's made to use along with fire. After you burn a little bit, then you can come in behind with the scraper and remove the charcoal, and it goes a lot faster than most people would think. You can see the log is coming apart.
This is the part I enjoy of being able to tell about it. Anytime that you can explain something, then you know what you're doing. So when people come around, and they have from all over the world, now people from around the globe knows exactly what it takes to build a redwood canoe, because I've had them from all over the world come by and watch me and have me explain to them the art of building a canoe. I learned from a fellow by the name of Dewey George in 1970. And this here was something more or less just a natural mishap, I guess you can call it. In 1964, this part of the state of California had one of the worst floods in its history. And by this, all the canoes was washed away from the riverbanks. And so they didn't have any more canoes. And like I said before, that it was canoes were a very integral part of the white deerskin dance. So with no canoes, they couldn't have the white deerskin dance, which is a biennial ceremony that is world renewal.
Every 2 years?
Every 2 years. And it's on the odd year, like 89 was the last one, so next year at 91 we'll have another one. And this dance, or this ceremony, is held in Hoopaw, and that's where it is. That's one of the ceremonies that the canoe was. Their belief was that the river was a barrier between two worlds. And one was the spiritual world, and the other was the world that we know. When they crossed the river from one side to the other, and in doing so, they then joined the two worlds. The three tribes that lived in the Redwood Belt, or the Redwood region, was the Talawa, the Yurok, and the Wayet people. The Wayets were the tribe that was around Humboldt Bay, along Eel River and Mad River, and their northern boundary was the Little River, and that's the southern boundary of the Yurok tribe. So you see the Yurok and the Wayet were neighbors, and they used their canoes just like everyone else used their canoes. They're probably fishing, hunting, transportation, and then if they participated in any ceremonial doings, why then this is what they used their canoes for. And it was their way of traveling across the bay and hunting, no matter whether it be ducks or transporting wildlife from the forest over to where their homes were on the sand spits. The canoes were made from old growth redwood, and they only chose the best logs to work with because there was plenty of the good material at that time, not so much like it is today. This is what the canoe, how the canoe was used, you know, for going around the island there and, well, back and forth across the bay, all up and down Humboldt Bay. And this is what kind of dictates making a canoe anyway. You have to go along with what the log has to offer, even with the tools that we have today. Now the waterways was the freeways in those days, and the only way to traverse on those was you know, canoes. And this is just exactly what the way they did it. Whenever they go hunting or trapping, they use their canoes up and down the river, and especially going across the river. That was the only way that people could cross a river, you know, when there was high waters. Julian, he's helping with the canoe. He has been here now for 3 or 4 days. So since his arrival, the procedure on the canoe has went real fast. Yeah, this is my son Haas that's working this plane on this one, and he'll do that until he gets this whole thing all rounded off, and then it comes right into the center of the boat. Well, making it right for, you know, so it looks beautiful to people as they see it, and also about how it's going to float in the water. And so this is the reason why you have to be so careful about the thickness along on each side of the boat and on the bottom. And if you don't have it so it's pretty much symmetrical, then your boat is going to be, you know, tilted to one side as you put it in the water. After the builder finishes building the canoe, the final ritual is what we call purification by fire. And this is where all the demonic spirits are removed from the canoe. And that way, now when it goes to its new owner, it has a clean bill of health. On the ritual of burning, now the practical thing that the fire does, that it tempers the wood, it seals the wood, and it removes all the demonic, now I said that, and it removes all the demonic spirits, all right, but it tempers the wood, seals the wood, and it removes all the feathery edges, or the slivery edges, if you want. This is the purpose of the fire and the practical thing that the fire does to the canoe.
Is that done outside and inside?
Yeah, all over, on both sides. By doing so, they take the chips and the shavings and pile them back into the boat and all the way around them, and then they set it afire. And of course you have 5 or 6 people with you, so that if it's beginning to get too hot in one spot, then you just move it around with long green poles. And even those long green poles, I say 7 or 8 feet long, why it gets pretty hot. So you can see how hot the fire does get. And you can see some of the scorched places on this canoe. I'm really not an authority on canoes, because in my time the canoe was replaced by the rowboat, where you use 2 oars instead of paddles. And so you can see that I never had too much experience in paddling canoes until this last 4 years, and I only get in them for just a short period of time to see how they operate in the water like this. But I'll tell you one thing, I can handle a boat that's made for 2 oars, as I did that all my life right out there at Trinidad Bay. And not only in calm waters, but when the waves were 10, 12 feet high. So I know how to do that. I'm more of an expert doing that than I am on the canoe. Each time that I put my boat in the water, there's always a big crowd. We take them for canoe rides for the rest of the day when we put the canoes in the water.
When is this canoe going in the water?
It already has been in the water. Yeah, it was put in there on September the 23rd. And it floated just like it was supposed to, like all the rest of them have, because the same technique was used in building this as there was in the others I built. The only thing about this canoe, the type of log that I used was substandard, but I did make a canoe of it. Now the canoe is a symbol of life, and it's given symbolic human body parts. And you can see right here that this part of the canoe is designed after this part of the face. This part of the face right here, and there. And directly below that, you have the seat that's carved in here, and that's just, the canoe is one solid piece of wood. There's no added parts to it. And then right here in front of the seat, you have the kidneys right here that I'm working on now. And then farther on up here in the front of the boat, you have the heart, as you can see. That projection from the floor of the boat up, that's the heart. And now that comes directly from the heart of the tree, so it's just a continuation of life, only now in a new form. And then up there, just above the heart there, you'll see on the floor of the boat, I carved into the bottom of the boat the rib cage. Now, all these human body parts have boat uses. Also, now the nose is where you tie the anchor line. That's the nose up there. And then the heart becomes the base for a mast. And you can hollow that out, you can put a pole in there, and then with any kind of material that would act as a sail, you put that on there, then you can go sailing. And then the kidneys here, right here, they become foot braces. And when the paddler is sitting in the seat there, then he braces his feet against the kidneys here, and that's where he gets all his leverage in paddling. Now these two incisions here represents a double bypass, and this is what happened to me in 1985, September the 16th. And this is the reason why I include it in all the canoes that I build. Each canoe builder has his own design, so no two canoes look alike, and it's because of the log that happens to be that way. And then the builder, he's always given a few liberties to do whatever he wants to do to make sure that someone will identify his boats. Now the canoe, it was always down at the water edge, especially on the rivers, and they would, whoever came there would say, hey, I need transportation across the river. So they always go over there and paddle them back. That part, it was kind of a community type thing. And but so far as, I guess the owner did have first choice. If he was going to go fishing that day, he'd take the canoe without having to ask anyone. But the person who was just borrowing it, why, then he would ask him, generally he could use the canoe. They had a good relationship that way.
See, we can't put it right on that trailer.